The crash is over. The panic fades. Markets rise again. News anchors say the economy is healing, but something feels different. You're working again, yet everything costs more. You're earning but falling behind. You didn't lose the recession. Yet somehow, you lost the future. Because the most dangerous phase of any crisis doesn't happen during the collapse. It happens after. When wealth has already moved. When ownership has already changed hands. When power quietly rewrites the rules. This is the phase no one explains. Because once the rich win, the system transforms. History shows a strange pattern. After every major crisis, society doesn't return to normal. It reorganizes. After the Great Depression came permanent central banking power. After the 1970s came financial. After 2008 came zero interest rates and asset inflation. After 2020 came the normalization of unlimited stimulus. Each crisis leaves behind a solution, and every solution shifts power upward. The public believes the emergency ends, but institutions never give back the tools they gained during chaos. Temporary measures become permanent architecture, and slowly, almost invisibly, the economy hardens, not for efficiency, for control. To understand what happens after the rich win, imagine society as a ladder. Before the crisis, movement is difficult, but possible. After the crisis, the ladder changes shape. The top steps become wider, the bottom steps become thinner, and the space between them stretches. This happens through three mechanisms. 1. Ownership concentration. After recessions, corporations don't just recover, they expand. Small businesses disappear. Local competitors vanish. Market share consolidates. What once took decades now happens in months. A handful of firms dominate entire industries. Less competition means higher prices, not because costs increased, but because choice disappeared. 2. Debt dependency. Governments, households, and students take on more debt to survive recovery. Debt becomes the bridge between survival and collapse. But debt has gravity. It pulls future income backward. The more society relies on borrowing, the more future labor is pre-committed. You are working tomorrow to pay for yesterday. 3. Asset inflation lockout. As stimulus lifts markets, asset prices soar. Homes rise faster than wages. Stocks rise faster than savings. Those who already owned assets grow wealthier. Those who didn't are permanently priced out. The door doesn't slam. It quietly rises beyond reach. This is how inequality becomes structural, not emotional, not political, but mathematical. Eventually, something unsettling happens. People realize they did everything right. They worked, they saved, they waited for recovery, but recovery never reached them. Instead, they return to an economy where rent replaces ownership, subscriptions replace assets, credit replaces cash, employment replaces independence. The system doesn't collapse, it stabilizes against them. This is the turning point. Because once enough wealth concentrates, it begins shaping policy itself, not through conspiracy, through incentives. Governments depend on markets staying up. Pensions depend on asset prices. Tax revenues depend on corporate stability. So protecting capital becomes protecting society. And slowly, the economy stops serving citizens. It begins serving balance sheets. At this stage, recessions are no longer feared by the top. They are managed, even welcomed. Because volatility no longer threatens power. It reinforces it. The long-term consequences reshape daily life. Not dramatically, gradually. Ownership becomes optional, then unrealistic. Stability becomes conditional. Risk moves downward. The wealthy hold diversified assets. Everyone else holds exposure. And with each cycle, upward mobility narrows. Not because people are less capable, but because entry costs rise faster than effort. Society doesn't collapse into chaos. It settles into hierarchy. A calm one, a quiet one, where comfort exists but control is elsewhere. This is why the question isn't whether the rich win recessions. That part is already decided. The real question is, what happens after they win? Because once wealth becomes power and power becomes policy, the system no longer needs to be unfair. It simply becomes fixed. The economy doesn't break, it freezes. And frozen systems don't fall suddenly, they persist. Until pressure builds again. Until the next crisis arrives. And when it does, the cycle begins anew. Recessions are not just economic events. They are reshaping moments. Moments when ownership moves, power concentrates, and futures are quietly reassigned. The crash is loud. The aftermath is silent. And silence is where systems are built. Because when the rich win, the world that follows is never the same. The rich didn't just survive the recession, they reshaped the economy that followed. But this raises a more disturbing question. If every crash strengthens the same players, if every recovery deepens inequality, then maybe crashes aren't accidents at all. In part 3, we examine the idea no institution will say out loud why the system itself depends on economic collapses.